So while making my usual rounds around the aisles of the grocers, I've actually come across this quite frequently. The existence of such a product kind of puzzled me, but I usually just shrugged it off and went about my day. However, in one of those shower thought moments, I started to wonder, is lower sodium salt actually any better? And why would anyone actually use it? So in today's video, I tried to test just that. There are multiple health benefits to ensuring you don't exceed your daily intake of sodium. However, the reason why lower sodium salt kind of puzzled me was because it seemed counterintuitive. Sodium chloride is basically what makes salt, and that's because it's basically a salt. Not that kind of a salt, but you know what I mean. So wouldn't 50% less sodium just mean 50% less salty? Here's what I did to test this. I made some under-seasoned tomato soup, poured 300 grams into 2 separate bowls, and decided to measure how much salt I would need to add to the soup before it became too salty. Now this is a method that many chefs actually use to fine-tune the seasoning for, well, soups. But let's not get into that. For comparison, I used Morton's regular kosher salt and compared it to, well, the 50% less sodium salt. Now, there are other brands out there that sell lower sodium salts, but the reason I'm using Morton's is because I already use Morton's kosher salt and I thought it would be fairer to compare products from the same brand. So what I did was I seasoned the first bowl of soup with the kosher salt in increments of 0.5 grams. The soup ended up being too salty after about 2 grams of salt. Next, I did the exact same thing with the other bowl of soup, except this time I used the lower sodium salt. Unsurprisingly, it actually took 5 grams of lower sodium salt before the soup became too salty. Now this gave more weight, literally and figuratively, to my suspicion that lower sodium salt is actually just less salty salt. In an attempt to confirm this, I turned to the nutrition facts on their website. Here are the quantities of chemicals in each salt as per the serving size. Also listed here is how much it costs to buy these things locally. Basically, there's 40 grams of sodium in every gram of kosher salt. The other 60.66% is actually chlorine because salt is NaCl, which is sodium chloride. As for the lower sodium salt, only 20.7% was sodium. The rest was potassium as well as chlorine. This basically showed me a few things. Firstly, this means that lower sodium salt is actually a mixture of regular salt as well as something that's not salt but salty, in this case potassium. Secondly, lower sodium salt is about half as salty as regular kosher salt. And thirdly, lower sodium salt is more expensive. So what does all this mean? After all this, I still find it hard to find an actual use for the product. Now, if you thought your food would be as salty while using lower sodium salt, you wouldn't technically be wrong, except you'll be using twice as much lower sodium salt. In the end, you'd end up taking in more sodium with the addition of potassium, paying a higher price per gram, and consuming it twice as quickly. I don't know about you, but if I want to have less sodium in my diet, I just use less salt. I think this goes to show that not everything that's marketed as a healthier choice is actually healthier. Organic food. But what do I know? You guys go test it for yourself, because that's all for today. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, hit that like button, share the video, and consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss a beat. If you guys know of other uses for lower sodium salt, let me know down in the comments below. But for now, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.